Hello, and welcome to another edition of XFeed. Welcome to the vibe. It's funny how just, like, imagine I just pause the music and then we just, like, talk. Music adds such a dynamic element to everything, doesn't it? Welcome aboard. I mean, the fear on the timeline is something that's quite interesting. Yesterday we called the stream our NFTs back, at least within the thumbnail image. And then we had the Borat saying, not. Because no comprende. You know in Superbad, when Jonah Hill is like, and it's like a viral meme right now. All right, there's enough yapping going on. I got to lock in. Welcome, 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 welcome. We're going to try to see if we got abstract working. Going on. And we got it working. Hell yeah. Phenomenal. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So we're going to do a couple different things. Number one, we are going to do research while live. How fun is that? True. We're going to go over Animoca Brands and some of the investments that they've made. We're going to be highlighting the podcast episode that I had with the Plague co-founder who gave out equity to holders. Just a wild, wild ordeal. And we get his thoughts about being a founder, everything else. It's not going to be bad. Apparently, Gavin Newsom, you know, the California guy, apparently they're doing a meme coin, or at least they're saying they're going to. Why are we at the point where all the stupid stuff is starting to happen? I don't know whether to be terrified, excited, or concerned. True. But we got to start things off with doing a little bit of a clip, but you can't like ruin the music. You got to let it get to Nah, okay, listen, now it's just too exciting. We got to pause it. All right, so going over to the podcast, Decentralizing Opportunity. If you don't know who Pons is, he is the person behind the Plague NFT. This is a collection that you'll probably be familiar with if you've been out and about within the space, but essentially it's a bunch of frogs. And I understand, because I'm trying to give this from the perspective of a new person. You know, you check out the stream for the first time and you're like, okay, I've heard of NFTs and Chiller's talking about frogs that have weapons. Some of them are smoking. Some of them have mohawks. Some of them are wearing leather. Some of them are wearing a toga, just like you did if there was a college party for that. I feel like there was that, but I never ended up attending anything of the sort. But the Plague talked with the founder of this, and this was a pretty awesome conversation, I have to say. It was cool getting kind of behind the hourglass, whatever you want to say, behind the looking glass, whatever it may be, because you see everybody that's on the timeline that's a founder that's making posts about it. And Pons throughout this entire discussion had a very big focus on kind of the humanity aspect of things. But here's a quick clip from this, and again, it's on episode 67 if you want to check out the link in the description down below. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it there. Yo, Peckham, what's going on? Listen, I jumped the gun. Now that I'm saying this, I realized I said that we were going to do these at 5 p.m., and I understand that it is 4 p.m., but I just felt in the mood, so red card, but good to see you. Here's a clip from the conversation with Pons. I don't really look at any sort of company or founder. Like, if I go to a restaurant, I'm not, like, thinking of, oh, yeah, here's the person that founded Pizza Hut and taking their opinion on social media and whatnot, but on Web3 and crypto rails, I'm like, oh, hey, look, I can see what Pons' thoughts are, something in the industry, and all these other founders. What do you think, like, the, in quotes, founder responsibility is moving forward? Is it people talking about founder-led marketing, founder-led this, that, and the other thing? And I think when we talk about those specific components, it's when something is said from a founder, it's more meaningful than, let's say, like a mod in a Discord per se. But I think we have kind of a very different perspective on people that are running businesses on crypto rails versus just running them in the normal world.
Yeah, it's such a weird experience for me because I mean, this isn't NFTs and crypto is not, I don't pay my bills here. So I'm in the real business world outside of this. And you're right. Like nobody is calling me. I'm an executive at a company. Nobody's calling me or adding me on. Well, first of all, I don't have social media outside of this world. But if I did, they wouldn't be tagging me on a post and busting my chops on something, right? They're not waiting for me to do something. They're just going about their business. Even if they're a shareholder, you know, they may be on the quarterly calls or whatever. If they're large enough investor, they may ask questions and those kind of things. But it's really a weird experience being a founder on in crypto. There's some fun parts to it, but then you're dealing with, like you said, you just got random people who you have no idea whether they're even outside of floor price. Are they asking the question because they actually care? Or are they asking the question because they're ready to flip an asset related to your ecosystem?
So there's a lot more that goes into it. It's about a 24-ish minute episode. Would love for you guys to check that out. I've also been told that I say episode very wrong, where it's supposed to be like episode, but I say episode like we're ordering like half price appetizers after 9 p.m. at a restaurant that does that. Very interesting. The fact that he said that crypto wasn't his thing that pays the bills, and he's, you know, the founder, co-founder of a pretty notable collection. But then also within this, we go into a huge slew of what they've put money towards and a bunch of other stuff. So it's a good feel-good story, and also gives you kind of a little bit of a fresh perspective if you've not been in tune with things across Web3. Somebody's honking a horn. Juicy, what's going on? Schiller, when are you going to come see my land in the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy 14? I have no idea. Leap with an interesting take. AI will continually devalue recorded content, as it'll be easier and cheaper to mass produce. The only thing that'll remain is real and authentic live streaming. Hooray! That's us. True. So let's talk about this for a second. So I've been messing around with different toolings, and if anybody ever does like video editing or wanting to learn, or if you're doing YouTube, whatever, happy to go through some of the things. But like, so for a stream, theoretically, I can, and if you look at my shorts that I've uploaded on YouTube, I can take like a live stream and just throw it into a program, and it will just spit out me various clips. Now, the problem with that is I'm like reading a post. I'm over here. If you're trying to do like a shorts, you gotta, you know, crop it, move stuff around. Like it takes a little bit longer, and it's, you know, you're missing context. So you got to put headers and you got to do all this other stuff. But in theory, like the effort that is needed for some of this stuff, where this is simply just talking. And obviously you can go through, type in on these different like chat bots, like, hey, make a script, do this content. And we've seen it time and time again where people are advertising how to have a faceless YouTube channel and make like $10,000 a month. And I'm sitting here like, hey guys, if you want to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, it's like $2.99 a month. You can check it out on the page. You'll see like a join thing. If you're on Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, it's free. We're trying to keep it like that, right? But on YouTube, you can have it where it just automatically earns income, essentially based on how popular the videos are. And if you have a routine system where the script's made for you, the visuals are coherent enough, well, again, what does it come down to for the human element? And when we get so much of something, what is it going to look like? Is that guy saying AI content will be cheaper to mass produce, or the real content is cheaper? I think that he's saying that it's going to be cheaper, but we're just going to have so much of it that people are just going to get like naturally attracted to live streaming. Which this was a crazy thing, crazy thing. And I've not had too many moments of somebody like taking a piece of my content, editing it, doing something with it, but somebody took one of the fluff characters and basically recreated me as like a live stream. So take a look at this. I'm trying to express how gnarly everything is right now. The amount of stuff that's happening, the amount that's like somewhat interesting, even if you have like a bare minimum knowledge of what the hell is going on. Excited to bring you some more news. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to number 2. Like the show number 2, not the other. Anyway. Okay, dude. Unbelievable. I got to work on these intros. They're a little bit lost. But, I mean, decently high fidelity. I think like the mouth ended up matching pretty good. I don't know. I just like that's freaking wild, right? Like that's that's like a high fidelity character. You're just like bada boom, bada bing. I thought this was AI when I first saw it. I really did. I don't think it is based on how many people have shared it, but California's governor. Take a listen.
The real prediction is, we're about to put a meme coin out. And you know what, Donald Trump, we'll see how well your coin does versus our coin.
Mtali, what's dude? Why is California doing a meme coin? Are we just saying that? Is this like some like anti... I've seen the thing of like Newsom and Trump absolutely just beefing with each other, right? But what's the point of this? What does... okay, so let's pause for a second and make like a genuine look at this, right? I'm trying to shuffle this chair over. Probably look... Wait, no. Hold on. I got to go the other way. There we go. More on camera. So California comes out with a coin. You have $100 in your name that's just the Tooth Fairy gave you and said, you know, something in the Web3 realm, you can buy it. So you have $100 that you could put into the California coin. Do you do it? Or do you buy literally anything else? Because there's so many coins, and still, you know, I've made the argument in the last stream, we went really in depth yesterday. If you're wanting to have kind of a stream that's conversation more or less was revolving around market cap. Like what does a coin that represents something with the California government, state, do? Like, is this for taxes? Is this simply a meme coin? And we have every state, every country come out with a coin of some sort? Because we've seen it with soccer teams, right? The big thing before was Juventus launching a coin, and you are able to, you know, buy it. And what's the purpose of it? Well, I mean, I guess what coin has like a higher market cap? Some of the ideas of there's some sort of utility with it, but like I mean, it just all comes back to why, what, who, why, when. Some about like a triple Y's, right? But everybody's talking about crypto. So one thing that we have to get like explicitly straight and like very, very quick is we have this conversation around mass adoption. And while I think that that's going to play a big component, it's a lot more about having the people that are within the industry like care, like significantly, right? So to break this down a little bit further in terms of my thesis, Lost Ratones, they play backstory. Lost Ratones is an esport team for League of Legends. The founder of this team is a streamer named Kadril. Kadril is bigger than like any personality within the league space outside of a couple of like actual players, and even then, maybe even dwarfs them. Has regularly 30 to 100,000 plus people on finals for League of Legends, for the World Tournaments, for mid-season invitational. We're talking sometimes up to 160,000 viewers. Big name. Okay. And they're not in like the upper echelon tiers. They're in like League 2 because you have to pay like 30 million or something to get into like the top ones. But because all of the team members are big streamers themselves, former pros, a part of Kadril, they've gotten a ton of attention. And I was watching the replay the other day of their finals because they have the player comms and I play League of Legends, and you're able to kind of get a sense of how do they communicate, what do they do, and it's really, really cool having that transparency. It's like if you were able to watch football or baseball and everybody was just like always mic'd up. It adds so much to the element. We're going to listen to this and then go back to it. So these guys are on the final stage in person playing a League of Legends final.
When I was a kid, I robbed a bank.
In GTA or what?
And I'm actually a billionaire because I invested all the money as a young kid into real estate.
Not into Bitcoin?
Nah.
Yeah.
Then that's a cap.
No Bitcoin.
It's like a challenge of how long it takes for Velia to start talking about crypto on any topic. It's like maximum 40 minutes.
That's a
So it makes a comment about Bitcoin kind of passively, and it doesn't really matter, right, at face value. But what caught me is Crowny's response saying, oh, it's challenger level for Velia, not to mention crypto. Can't get more than like 14 minutes. So sure, we can say, we need this mass adoption. We need people that are coming in left, right, and center. Nah, listen, you have people that are in the industry that really are involved and passionate about it, but they need something to elevate that passion or bring them in a different realm. And there's your example of that. GameSquare, who was a company that is seemingly doing a lot within crypto treasuries, NFT treasuries. They were the ones that went out and swapped equity in their company for a cowboy hat, CryptoPunk, not too long ago. Latest news from them. GameSquare has entered a strategic partnership with Rekt Drinks. As part of the deal, GSQ Holdings will add $2 million worth of Rekt coin to its digital asset treasury. This makes it the first publicly traded company to disclose Rekt holding. So the backstory with Rekt is they I'm gonna muck this up like horribly, but it was an art project that was just of a guy drinking a bottle saying Rekt, or implying that they were wrecked. Okay, so it's called Rekt Guy. You can see it's a little bit flashy with some of the imagery, but the idea was just celebrating that, all right, we're wrecked. Being in the industry. But then they came out and they launched a crypto coin. And then they also launched a drink brand that I believe is simply just water. But what they did is, in the earliest distributions of this, if you bought some of the cans, you were actually given some of that Rekt coin. And Rekt coin ended up going absolutely for a run. I'm trying to see if we can see what some of the products actually look like. This store does not exist for Rekt Guy. Okay, somebody might want to let them know that they need to update that. True. Maybe we can go over to their bio and see some of the drinks on here. Rekt Guy, no media. Okay. They've moved it to Rekt Guy AI. See, this is where things get funky. We're following the leads. They haven't updated the shipping, the dropping, any of this stuff. So June 9th was the meme coin's last discussion. But they had all this water. And again, the meme coin went completely crazy. I try to just bring it up right quick. Oh, sorry. Play the music again. Get you back in the mood. True. So as you can see, it's kind of hard to tell like what the actual price of the meme coin is, because it's a meme coin, so there's a massive supply. It's a wonky price, but came out, went down, and then boom. And so the market cap's at 228 million. So what we said yesterday, stuff around crypto that's usually something is around 100 mil. So interesting. We took a look at the website trying to find some drinks, but this is what I mean. For this, it's like somebody that looks at this that is not within the space industry at all, they're gonna be like, why the hell do I want to get into this? Right? Looking at it from this, because it doesn't really get the lore. And then you go and you try to find out the website, and they have these drinks, but then nothing is showing for it. It's just sort of weird, I think. Also, we're live on Abstract too, if you want to go check that out. Why is there a voice playing in that? We're going to try to make a playlist. Basically, I'm trying to come up with a background, because I realize that adds a little bit to it. But there's your Rekt Guy update. And 2025 is 67% complete. Not bad, eh? Yo, not bad. Have you done what you wanted in 2025? That's ultimately the question. So El Dumbo, bringing up Disney Pinnacle. Not sure if I'm allowed to share this, but here it goes. When I first saw the internal plans and ideas around Disney Pinnacle by Dapper Labs, I was skeptical. It just didn't make sense to me. I'd never heard of the physical Disney pins and hadn't been to the parks much. I thought it was kind of odd. Why pins? Then I went to Disney. The rows and shelves of pins was unreal. And with that, that's what I want to highlight here, because Matt made a video a while ago talking about Disney pins, and people don't realize how massive the physical collecting of these Disney pins are, and why when we've talked about the Treasury company that is now buying Pinnacle pins and covering it a little bit more, there's a rhyme and a reason for it.
You've seen the craze around Disney pins, right?
Awesome, very cool. Okay, let's see what is hiding on here.
Today we're here at Epcot for a round of pin trading. I have my bag full of pins, my heart full of hope. Let's do this. Here is a look at the pins that I am trading today.
Total collector gold. Well, now they've gone digital. Disney's been rolling out a digital collectibles platform called Disney Pinnacle. And if you've got Disney Plus, you get a free mystery capsule of digital pins every month. Same Disney magic, just no backing card. Would you trade a digital pin the same way you would trade a real one? Or does it lose the magic?
just giving a little bit of an idea. Whoa! Don't you love having an experience like this? Just look at that visual. We got to have that as the background. Crazy. But back to the point here with Dumbo. I was hooked jumping in the queue buying Dumbo pins, stoked to own something I didn't even know about the day before. There I was stacking pins and loving it. So there's a little bit more to it. But I think there's a lot about education and just realizing certain things are where they are and how much bigger they can get. In case you missed it, a multi-billion-dollar Web2 studio just sold its first NFTs on Immutable. The Fates. He's trying to make it like secretive of what it is, but everybody knows that Fates is like the big deal. I'm trying to see if he's got any of the posts for Fates in here. No, he's not playing favorites. Okay, dude. It's only big on the day when they sell something. Okay, but it's a trading card game by Might and Magic that's coming to the Web3 side of things. And we've seen some big raises. We're not allowed to call it raises, are we? That's what we used to call it before, and then everybody was like, you're technically not raising, you're just selling. Nah, it's basically raising. But we've seen some big things associated with Immutable have massive sales before, and then things have changed. And that's fine, but I think that's also another like huge point that's going to be a problem. Because we go through and we say, well, gamers are going to love Web3. And I think gamers are going to like Web3, and they'll eventually love it, but only if what they get for these games has some sort of purpose, right? Because a lot of these established games of any sort that people are playing, you know, you like it. In Web3, it's kind of, you buy the game character and you don't even know if you like the game. And sometimes that doesn't end the way that one would hope. Our flagship project from Animoca Brands Mocha Network is announcing the upcoming launch of Mocha Portfolio, a new approach offering the Mocha Network community exposure to Animoca Brands ecosystem. Participants of Mocha Portfolio will be eligible to receive token allocations at a combined valuation of $20 million US from projects in our investment and partnership portfolio, subject to vesting terms. Where's Peckham at? Where's Peckham? So you can actually go and look, if you just type into Animoca Brands Web3, all of their Web3 investments and more for blockchain gaming, Atari. So to relate it back to a second ago of Immutable, you know, they're saying, oh, this is a big company, Might and Magic, big brand, they're doing something with Immutable. We've had Atari try to do like 13 different things within Web3 and none of it worked. They tried doing a token. They've tried doing like Sandbox and other initiatives for that. They've done a commemorative 50th edition for like a little joystick. If anybody remembers that. I think I might have closed out the thing that I did not want to close out. If we type in Atari, does this show up? It does. That's hilarious. So the Atari token. This, we're going to have to go to another thing, aren't we? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Atari token, like, actually got delisted. Yeah, you can't even find it when it shows up, but it was there for OpenSea a moment ago. You saw that, right? I'm not crazy. The website, it goes to Atari Chain. So they tried doing a chain at one point. And it didn't work. Wait, Atari. Now, we can make the argument for other things, right? Where people look at like Star Wars and they're like, man, remember when people used to love Star Wars and then it's fallen off a cliff or whatever? Maybe Atari just had its run and the people they put in charge is just not going to have that nostalgic appeal that it did. Or maybe they were just way too early for the Web3 space, because for that token, for everything else, they were saying they were going to do like casinos They're going to do world. I mean, the sky was the limit for all of this stuff, right? I immediately grabbed my keyboard then. Only Paperboy would work for Atari. So this was one of the things they did. This is a commemorative piece, the GFT Shop Atari 50th Anniversary Commemorative Collection. It did 2,800 ETH in volume. And I want to think, or want to say that people also paid a fair bit for them. Like highest last sale, 250. And they all came out to be the same. And we thought this was going to be linked to like a bigger game of some sort. It's tough. 50 Years of Atari by Butcher Billy. Ooh. Maybe we can do a fun little history thing here. So Atari. We've looked at some of the things they've done. Apparently, they really like doing the anniversaries and the commemorative points. So Butcher Billy is an artist. He's one of the people that are infamous for Stranger Things, Butcher Billy. He's one of the famous people that have done like the artistry for big things like Stranger Things, and now coming over and doing something with Atari. Also did something with the Royal Society players. I'm trying to think of what they were called. Do you remember what they were called? I'm switching over to this one for a second here. I don't know if I still have... I have like one or two of them. Did, unless I hit it or sold it. It's funny going through stuff. I'm like, I should just like have this here for historical references. Aha! We got it. This is good. So Butcher Billy, the artist. Stranger Things, some of the other posters, doing stuff for Atari. Metaverse Players. This was a part of Royal Society of Players. And that collection, not the one that you're seeing here, but Royal Society. I know how to spell society. True. It was a bunch of playing cards. The idea is that they had poker nights, they had giveaways, they did like rooftop things in New York for exquisite live events. And then they decided they were going to do like an avatar collection of sorts. And they hired Butcher Billy for it. Which, to be fair, again, is super cool. But it got less than 20 ETH total volume. So even with big names, it doesn't guarantee any sort of extra adoption for it. But back to the original point, Mochaverse. How do we... I got to go back and look at how we got on a tangent, because we went from looking at Animoca Brands to Atari to Butcher Billy and Metaverse Players and Royal Society of them. Axie Infinity, one of the big things. Maybe that's why Animoca can buy everything. Maybe they got in early on Axie Infinity. But Dapper, everything to do with Flow. MLB Champions, I don't know if that's still a thing. That looks like the Root Network, but it's not. Sky Mavis, which is the team behind Ronin, and Axie Infinity. Kingdom Raids, that's a very popular mobile gaming studio. Just scrolling on through. You're not going to remember all these names. Oh, the Red Village. Is this actually a thing? Still? Enway. Was that? I think that was the mech story with Yuga when they did those mechs. I don't know what they're called. Sounds like yeah, true. It's all about the weave. Okay, so Red Village is still a thing. This is not what I remember it being. Unless it was supposed to be coming out on Polygon. It says coming soon. That was like forever ago that I remembered it. But scrolling back through, I mean, we could... So for guilds, yesterday I brought up guilds and I said, if companies are doing these treasuries, how many of these guilds are sitting on large amounts of gaming resources? Do people even care about these games anymore? Is it the worst thing to be into, where everybody's just focusing on the tech versus individual games? Checking over on Metaverse, they have the Sandbox, Upland. I think Upland isn't the thing anymore. Treeverse. That is one. Cool Cats, ApeCoin, Other Side. The Wanderers, imaginary ones. They're part of everything. Go over to DeFi. Are there any names that pop up? NFT Fi, that's where you can see where floor prices are and compare. Kraken, it's an exchange. Be familiar with some things. But again, they got their hands in absolutely everything. So we shall see what Animoca Brands looks like moving forward. It's been 7 months since OpenSea gave any official update on the OpenSea token. Everybody's just pissed off about it now. And the other thing that I noticed too is if you go and look at the voyages, because what they're doing right now is they're giving incentives for you to go and like purchase NFTs. I feel like there's just none of them that are running. I think I did like maybe 4 or 5 of them. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel exciting at all. And maybe they're waiting for some kind of altcoin season, NFT season. Maybe there's a broader plan. But it does feel like the OpenSea hype is just not there right now. So unbelievably massive news coming out of Pixel Vault. We've been wondering what the hell is going on. So the backstory, G-Funk, who was the founder, he had a couple of other people when he first started. Him, Beanie, and a guy named Sport Cheetah. They kicked out Sport Cheetah when they were like, all right, we don't know if you're going to add anything to it. And then they went off and had one of the most historical runs in NFTs ever. They came out doing a Punks comic, which was just the idea of a comic book with CryptoPunk as characters, and that's it. And then they came out and they were going to do this meta hero universe and all this crazy stuff. They raised at $100 million valuation. And it seems like things just never ended up really happening, or they did. And it was like short-lived. They had a gaming sequence launch platform for their battle plan game, which was an auto brawler. They said they were going to give away a Cybertruck. Never happened. There's a whole bunch of other things. And so all of a sudden, they decided they are going to sell their CryptoPunk treasury for several mil. I forget what the numbers are. But then it comes out there is some interesting happenings because to sell these CryptoPunks, they're also like fractionalized shares of this token called Punks. So instead of going out and buying, $100,000 CryptoPunk, in theory, the idea was that if you bought these tokens, enough of them kind of redeem it. So there's some hooey malarkey where they end up taking it on some platform, they leverage it, whatever, they sell the punks, people get screwed out of stuff, and there's some massive ordeal where it's like, all right, why did we just sell those punks on top of a couple of other things that transpired, including they bought a ticker on a Hyperliquid of GG for like good game for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then they also sold the Lost Robbies, which is a very expensive NFT. And all of these things are just happening all of a sudden. And then it comes out that Pixel Vault has removed G-Funk as CEO. All the mods are like fired. Whole team's gone. Nobody has any idea what the hell's going on. This team that had 100 mil. Like we've had Kevin Rose with that whole ordeal that sold Yuga, that is now sold over to Moonbirds to Spencer, and that's going great. But we finally found out what the hell is going on with Pixel Vault. Sort of. We explored all options to find the best home for the Punks comic and the Meta Hero Universe assets. We have reached a deal with a new company owned by Chris Wall and Josh Blaylock, the creative geniuses behind the franchises. Sign up for their newsletter at postpunks.io to stay up to date with their plans. So this is big. Why is it big? Well, we've been talking about mergers and acquisition and what's that going to look like. We saw the Quirkies situation the other day. We saw, what is this studio collabing with Critters Quest or getting taken over, bought out by Critters Quest because I guess they run out of runway, but they have some tech in place. And the original artist, Chris Wall, and Josh Blaylock, who was the author of the comics, I think all of them, at least the first one for sure, come together to do this. So what does the comeback arc look like? Are people going to say, all right, this was the original artist and whatnot, business-wise, the lead kind of screwed up? and we're going to give them another chance. And if that's the case, that opens the door and the narrative to other teams doing that. Because right now, we sort of have the Beluga revived Pudgy Penguins and Spencer revived Moonbirds. Because we've seen that comebacks aren't always guaranteed, even to bigger entities. You look at Yuga Labs, the creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club. They've, right? Like they took Moonbirds from Kevin Rose and then weren't able to get any traction, hype, whatever you want with it, right? So we've seen it on kind of both ends of the spectrum. But I've done interviews with Josh Blaylock. If you're familiar with the Trailer Park Boys, he actually did some of the comics for them, which is really, really cool. He's worked with a ton of top talent. And it's good to see that this is happening. But now you get to go back to whatever your favorite collection is and compare and contrast certain situations. All right, 100 mil did this. Now they're changing up. What does the comeback for it? An NFT price floor. This was one of the investments. It all ties together, baby. One of the investments that Animoca Brands had. Then what was going on here? Okay. So on their site where it breaks down, this is what it looks like for those assets related to Chris and Josh and Pixel Vault. So Meta Heroes up 56%. The cores, these are just like ultra rare variations, but again, very similar. Doesn't seem like there's much movement. For the dots, which they've tried doing a bunch of different things for energy. I thought the dots didn't look as good as I thought. You know, we got to like the art. But the Meta Hero Universe planets, they're up 20%, and then the Punks comic is down a bajillion. But this is also sort of not a good representation because they've launched like 4-ish. There's special covers, and then there was the other one, the Origin Cities. 4 to 5, yeah, 4 to 5-ish of these Punks comics are like in the same category. So like the 3rd edition one, where there's like a whole bunch of mints, it's down. So that... ignore that one, but it does look interesting that we have a little bit of breath coming back in that regard. And so the Pudgy Play game that everybody's talking about, $805 is the sell now variation for one of the Power Pudgy outfits within the game. It's a game that people like and something they're willing to pay for. Take a look at that experience. Whoa. Don't you love when things give you an experience? That's what people want. The future of finance, Charizard Capital. I don't know if this is a meme. I think it's legit, but home of the strategic Charizard Reserve. You're going to have people that are going to do the craziest stuff around collectibles over the next couple of years. We're going to be covering it because we're doing the NFT side. We're getting a little bit more into the collectibles front. But open your mind, because a lot of stuff that you'd say, that there's no way that's an asset or going to have value over time. It just might. So let's do the typical, check out Google. What does it show on the top ones? Well, Kevin O'Leary highlighting the fact they spent $13 million on a collectible card. We're just trying to reference. A little bit of insights on what the hell an NFT even is. Other stuff that's kind of irrelevant. Okay. Remember, keyword searches. So that was NFTs for Web3. How Seal unlocks the full potential of Walrus's Web3 data platform. These headlines are not made for any sort of attention, but like an average understanding. What the hell is Walrus, and why do we care about Web3 data? It's just funny. I was just thinking about making each managed rental property as an NFT that earns % of the management fees. What do you think? There's people that have done stuff like that. And so you'd be surprised. If you look it up, and I've actually done some interviews with a couple different people. Landshare is one of them for the podcast, and then Fabrica is the other. Now, Fabrica is different because they buy like undeveloped land, and then it's just like tokenized. But for Landshare, that sounds like it's very, very close to what you're thinking about there, Peckham. And I do have an interview with them as well. Insane project for Web3 that people don't know are coming. What? I mean, this is sort of the thing when we keep talking about like education, and I'm in my mind thinking, oh, all right, I understand that I'm not going to know the ins and outs of everything, but all it takes is for somebody to say, you know, as an example, you right here. Okay, I want to look at some that has to do with real estate within crypto, because I love real estate, because everybody has their niches, right? And then boom, having a couple of lists where you can go look it up. It's just having that awareness. You know what I mean? We're gonna figure out how to nail it. True. And then for crypto, it's literally just all Trump headlines. Jesus Murphy. Crypto miners are spreading their wings. Stablecoins surge in institutional crypto buying spree. Institutional buying spree. Okay. Hell yeah. All right, so let me pause this for a second. We talk about all the time from Bill Noble. You're not, listen, I understand when I say go check out the podcast, when I say go check out a previous live stream, I'm not stupid. You're probably not doing that. But if you are, hell yeah, thank you very much. But for Bill Noble, again, who's one of my favorite people, he's doing 2 shows a day at this point. One in the afternoon, and then 3, because he does like a VIP podcast after the morning show, but he does like a 20-minute morning short. He does this VIP podcast. It's like $70 a month or something for the YouTube membership. Holy sugar. Because I'm like, man, I want to support this, and I've done like some super chats for him or whatever, but like, holy marbles. But he's got all these insights, all these videos. Was a guy that worked at a bunch of big financial firms before him, and he talks about crypto. So let's sit back, relax, and hear what he's got to say for the day.
What should you not do the next 7 days? Don't buy the market when it's up, and don't puke it when it's down, unless you're selling to pay the rent. You get what I'm saying. Don't chase the market. You're like, why? Explain it to me. I'd be happy to. We are in eclipse season. There are 2 eclipses this month. Normally, when there are 2 eclipses in 1 month, sometimes you can get extreme volatility. You know, meaning the market might dump 7% and come back, or it might go up 7% and come back down. And who knows what they got in store for us, because we have the payroll number or the unemployment number, or what I suggest will go back to its 90s name of the unenjoyment number on Friday, as they begin to tell the truth for whatever reason about what's jokingly referred to as the job market. This has the potential to create a lot of volatility in crypto. Do not let your emotions get the best of you. Yeah.
Listen, I can't ruin all of it. You got to go check it out. But again, it's Crypto Noble out on YouTube. He's on X as well. There's double live streams. It's all good. Listen, I think it's cool when people are out there talking about all that kind of jazz. All that jazz. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. I know that we're not even up to the 5 o'clock hour. When I said I was going to try doing them at 5, maybe we'll do it at 4. I was just sitting here and I was like, I don't want to sit here and do nothing for an hour. I'm ready to go live now. And we made Peckham able to join it here live. Love to see it. Juicy Juice, Simtali, and Peckham, thank you guys so much for coming on through. If you're watching afterwards, appreciate you coming on through. I'll be back tomorrow as per usual. And one final plug again, if you want to listen to the podcast, check that out in the link in the description below or in my bio on X. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you tomorrow.